It's your man, Chris Godrock.
What's up, my family? It's Maliki, your sweet senorita.
It's your boy, Dirty Germa. This is All Mails from the Critics. I just finished my interview at C.O.O.L Radio, and I'm just letting you guys know that you guys need to tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. because this place is wild.
Of course! Don't touch that dial.
You miss your diss, you understand? Relax.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM C.O.O.L. And you're now tuned into C.O.O.L Radio.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody!
You're damn right. You make sure your ass better call somebody because we are live on the airways of CFRE 91.9 FM, broadcasting live from UTM. Shout out to all the people who are back in school. You already know how it is. Before we continue on with today's program, I got to give some birthday shout-outs, all right? Because that's what I like to do. I like to give some birthday shout-outs. So first and foremost, happy birthday to my homegirl, Elisa, and happy birthday to my former co-host of C.O.O.L Radio, my man, Jay Kareem. And I feel it's so necessary that I have to play this drop because we all know of him as the biggest hater alive, and I feel that we have to play a short clip of his drop right now. He is our harbinger of hate, courtesy of P. Diddy and Nas. Let's play that real quick in memoriam.
You can hate me now. I hate you too, but I won't stop now.
I swear, he would want me to play that at his funeral. I swear. Like, he would want me to do that. That's how much of a hater he is. But nonetheless, we got to get on to today's program. So, coming up around the 8:15 mark, we have Politician Rose Streete in the building, and she is running for 8th Council Ward. So, we're going to get her on the show. We're going to catch up with her from the last time she was on the show and what progress she has made thus far, because she is definitely made a lot, so you don't want to miss that. But first, I have a lot of things to get off my chest, and that includes a woman who added a third portion of her chest. All that and more. I like to call this Let That Ish Breathe.
Let this bitch breathe.
Now, folks, you did hear me correctly. I did say that I have a lot to get off my chest, and some of that includes a woman who decided to add a third portion of her chest. And I am talking about a woman in Florida who goes by the name of Jasmine Tri-Devil. Notice the try in there and what happened? Yeah, she meant that. Anyways, this woman made headlines when she decided to go into surgery to add a third breast to her chest. Yes, a third. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Count that on the abacus, ladies and gentlemen. She added a third breast, including an artificial areola and nipple to go with that as well, too. Now, her reasoning for saying that she wanted to add the third breast was so that guys wouldn't hit on her. Now, I don't know so much about that because there are a lot of freaks out there. I'm sure there are a lot of dudes who would love to have the quote-unquote honor and privilege of saying that they had sex with a chick with a third breast. There are some sick dudes out there who would love to claim that. So that excuse might end up blowing up in her face, down the road. And she also said that she's trying to get an MTV reality show pitched about her surgery and the process and all that stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in the age of transparency and vanity eats us all alive to the point where we're actually, somewhat sane enough to augmentate our own bodies just so we can get 15, maybe 16 minutes of fame if we're lucky. And she seems to be one of those people who are caught up in that thirst trap. So she doesn't need surgery. She needs Jesus and a cup of holy water to go with that. Next on the docket, celebrity leaks. Okay, now a couple weeks ago there was a leaked file of Jennifer Lawrence's nude photos going all over the web. Now I'm thinking she was just probably like the only one who went through that, but no, ladies and gentlemen, we have more. And a couple of these ones, a couple of dudes have been waiting for. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little caught off guard when I saw these myself. But I'm not really gonna say too much about that, except I was a little parched, if you know what I mean. But there were leaked celebrity photos of the following women: Megan Good, Gabrielle Union, Rihanna, who I don't really have much, contempt for anyway, so that doesn't really matter because she's 90% naked in most of her photos and media in the first place, and Amber Rose. Now, with Amber Rose, and we'll get to her later on in the portion of the show, but with Amber Rose, she allegedly leaked her own nude photos so that she wouldn't have someone else do it for her, so that she could just explain herself that, hey, I did it myself. No surprises here, yada, yada. But I'm not really surprised that she did that, because she is, one female celebrity who likes to leak her own, or who likes to exploit her sexuality and whatever. That's her business. That ain't my problem. I'm not the one married to her, and neither is Wiz Khalifa anymore. Spoiler alert. On that note, we got to get to another commercial break, and after the commercial break, we will have our interview with Rose Streete, and she's going to drop some knowledge on this and also add some street cred to Cool Radio and put this over 100,000 trillion. But before we get to commercial break, this next track that we're going to play on the commercial break comes from my man, Goliath Pod, a.k.a. Mr. Whoa, coming from the Cap City, Ottawa, Ontario. And this track is called Getaway, only on Cool Radio. We'll be right back after these messages here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM Cool. And you're now tuned into Cool Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. Now, we were talking about a lot of freak show stuff happening during the week in pop culture, but it's time to mellow down a bit and get into some political stuff, rather. All right, we like to switch it up every now and again. And here, my special guest, I like to call her a Cool Radio alumni. She is running for 8th Ward City Council, and she is about to bring some street cred on Cool Radio right now. I'm talking about Miss Rose Streete. How you doing, Rose?
I'm good. Thank you so much, DM Cool.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming back on the show. So last time we were here, I think it was about June, if I'm not mistaken. We were talking about your campaign and how you want to add something different to Ward 8. So how's the campaign trail been going for you since then?
Well, first of all, my learning curve isn't curved at all. It's a straight line that goes right up.
Absolutely.
But I'm making a lot of inroads.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting to know the work I've done because I'm claiming my work.
Mm-hmm.
What I've realized and accepted is that there's many people who are quick to claim the work of others.
Mm-hmm.
And so who am I not to claim the work I've done? And I'm ready to put my efforts to work for everybody in the ward.
Exactly. Now, during the commercial break, actually, we were talking about relatability and what have you, and it's important how, pardon me, it's important how, whoever's running for councilor should be able to relate to the people in some sort of way. So how do you feel you can relate to the people of Ward 8?
Well, first of all, let me start with a very, very important group of voices, which are the voice of the youth. And me, particularly, the ones that are recent graduates or coming through university and post-secondary. As a recent graduate myself,
hey.
Shout out to my college out there, Sheridan College.
You already know, Sheridan alum.
Yeah, I'm an alumni. I just graduated last year, so I know how important it is to get into that workforce.
Absolutely.
And to be able to be working in your field. So as a student and a recent graduate, I can relate to students and recent graduates. The need for a job is no less important. Secondly, as a single mother of 5, there are issues that I know and I can relate to that other single mothers can relate to. Mm-hmm. Being homeless and building it all back makes people know that there isn't any time at the present to change your life around, and it can be done. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to come back from a deficit like that, but use all your asset-based approaches and you can do it. Mm-hmm. Poverty. It's not my friend, but I was married to it for a little while, and I had to divorce myself from poverty. So those that are at the poverty level, living below, hovering around it, I can relate, and you can relate to some of the things I know about. Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. And it seems as if Started from the Bottom is more than just a catchy song from Drake. It's actually, you've lived it.
Yes.
So, with that mentality, what can you say to the people of Ward 8 who are unhappy with what's happening within their ward?
Well, there's one thing about looking at the situations and saying, oh, I see something happening. Poverty is something that I've felt. Mm-hmm. I've tasted it. It tastes like hungry. Mm-hmm. It tastes like empty belly, right? I've felt it. I've tasted it. I've lived it. Mm-hmm. Being uncomfortable and not knowing where you want to go, where your goal is. Mm-hmm. I know about that. I'm a late bloomer, I tell people, because I finally found my calling. I'm a 44-year-old woman, but I've found my calling. A lot of youth are going to go through these issues trying to figure out where they're going to go in life. And you need to know that it's never too late to go for it. But for Ward 8, I'm telling them the same diligence, resiliency, and effort that I put towards my family, bringing us back from that edge, standing before them as a viable candidate for city councilor, is that same determination and resiliency and advocacy I'm going to put to work for them, the residents in Ward 8, because yes, you count and they can count on me.
And I feel as if, any election of any kind, I feel as if the youth are counted out. So how important does it mean for you to make sure that the youth know that, yes, you count?
Well, number one, statistics show that the bulk of our voters are the elderly and the novice voters, and those are the youths that haven't voted before. We need them to be informed about the voting and how that affects them, how their lack of voting affects the decisions, how they're voting. The amount of youth that are actually on this campus alone can change the fate of the voting right here for this election in Ward 8, because there are so many of you. There is such power in your numbers, and I don't think anywhere else you're going to go except on the campus, your post-secondary campus, are you going to have that power and that group strength. I say to the youth, not only do I represent the youth and stand for them, I put my son in the forefront because he's a youth too. He's my campaign manager, 24, just finished university. He needs that experience. What I'm doing, I'm giving him that experience because that is a big issue when it comes to youth coming out of post-secondary, wondering where am I get that experience for that job. I'm making sure I put the youth in the forefront.
Absolutely. And you did mention, pardon me, you did mention how a lot of youth in particular are often, misguided as far as what path to take once they've finished college or university, or even if they're still in college or university. Like, I know some friends personally who they're in school just to say, hey, I'm in school and I'm not doing anything with my life right now. So, like, what would you say to the ones who are eager to get out of it and, start making a living for themselves, even though they're not exactly sure what to do?
Well, I consider myself a connector. I connect people to resources, and I expand people's horizon of what is really available. There are career counselors that they can go and access who are free, nonprofit. They're there. I can show them these connections. But if you don't know where you want to go, at least keep moving, because an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. So when it comes to finding your calling, start looking at the non-conventional jobs. Some of the job titles youth don't even know exist out there. I don't know how many youth know about urban planning, but it's very important when it comes to the whole makeup of a city, right? Making sure you know what you build beside what home, what amenities need to be there. That's a big project.
Oh, absolutely.
There's money there.
Exactly.
Right?
Especially in Mississauga with so many condos being built and what have you. I mean, that's a type of business that you would want to springboard into while it's still hot.
Yes, and when they're making those decisions for careers, I also encourage them to check out the labor market, right? And find out what's a fair job prospect, a good job prospect, and a poor job prospect. You don't want to streamline yourself into a job prospect that says poor, because you're going to be fighting with so many other people that are in the same boat as you. Check out the NOC code, right? The National Occupation Code. It gives you a little summary of each job, and it tells you how much people make. So those are useful tools that the youth can access and say, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I want to be this. Stroke your chin.
Exactly. Excellent, Mr. Burns.
Nice to meet your acquaintance.
Right? Absolutely. I definitely feel like a lot of people need to be more cognizant of those resources as well, too.
Of course.
Let's take it back to the political field now. Like we've been talking about your Yes Youth Counts campaign and just everything that you're bringing to the table. What separates you from the rest of the candidates in your field, in your opinion?
Number one, lived experience. Number two, proven results. Number three, I have people that are layering out my concepts in other priority neighborhoods right now. So not only do I know it works, I see how far my reach is. Have you ever heard of like the splatter theory or the splatter effect?
Is that kind of like the ripple effect?
It's something like that,
okay,
right? But it doesn't have to go in concentric circles. So I do something here, and then my concepts are splattered in other communities, and you see the effects of my work. I'm being recognized on many levels by Peel Regional Police, for my community safety modeling collaborations, United Way, for my ability to inspire people and also to mobilize communities. I know U of T here has a community garden. I had some of what kind of zucchini was that? That was a huge zucchini, And so I encourage that, and I also do that. So we're working on the same side of the coin. Number two, where I didn't have the academic background, I went and got it. Right? You can't tell me I don't have that academia behind my experiential knowledge. So this is where, again, bottom up meets top down. And there has to be that middle ground between grassroots and academia where you can serve the needs and the best interests of the majority as well as the minorities. I have that.
And do you feel as if a lot of politicians kind of lose touch on that?
I don't even think some of them are touching it.
Ooh. I'm gonna drop a cool track just right now. That was a proper one. Still, let me get that real quick. Let me get that one more time. Say that one more time for the people.
I don't even think some of the politicians are touching the issues.
Let's give her that cool drop real quick. That was proper. I like that, actually. That's very important to note, actually. That's very important to note. And why do you think they're not touching that?
Well, nothing for the people without the people. I know I'm consulting with people because everything that I've brought to the forefront has been informed processes. They've been evidence-based. Don't talk about an issue you haven't lived or submerged yourself into. Don't tell me about homelessness because you spend 1 or 2 nights out in the cold with some hot shots in your pocket.
Right?
Because you don't feel the effect of homelessness if you know there's a hot car to go to in 10, 9, 8, and you're just counting down. Come on, that's for show. I'm not about show. I'm about tell. If you're going to do show, you might as well show and tell.
Exactly. That's what my kindergarten teacher taught me as well, too. Yeah. And on that note, we're going to get to more of your campaign later on in the broadcast. But, so loosen up a little bit. It's time to have some fun,
I knew this was coming.
Exactly. Because around here on C.O.O.L Radio, for those of y'all that don't know, we like to play games with our guests. And Miss Rose Streete, you are no stranger to that. So we got 2 games. One's personalized just for you, of course. The second one is a mainstay on the C.O.O.L Radio program. First game I got for you is called Streets is Watching.
Okay.
Courtesy of Jay-Z. So in this game, you got to tell me something. You, instead of being, a front runner for city council, you are now the PR manager or the campaign manager. So it's role reverse. So on that note, how would you prevent a potential scandal from happening if you were a campaign manager?
Okay, so number one, if there was a scandal happening, I must know about it. So I've done communications before. I was a communication intern at the region of Peel, so this is something I'm good at.
Yeah.
Right? But if there was a scandal that was going to be happening, number one, I'm going to let my candidate brief me. Right? It's like that lawyer, tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Right now, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you, whoever you believe in.
Yeah.
Secondly, we're going to come up with a position statement. Right? We're going to come with our own statement. And that's the statement that we're going to stick to. We're going to brief our whole team. That's our statement. Nobody else on the team is going to make any statements except for that person that's in charge of public relations, number 2. The same statement that we make in a voiceover, we also are going to put in a printed form. And we're going to stick to that statement and leave it from there. As well, though, if the scandal should not outweigh the merits of the person. We've seen what's been going on in our neighborly cities.
Right.
And the things you do, there's things you know are right, things you know are wrong, and things you don't know. We all make mistakes. They say that he that has no sin casts the first stone. So you have to weigh people's merits, and you want to also see the distance that has passed between that scandal, right, and where that person is right now. What frame of mind were they in, and what was the actual collateral damage of that scandal? Who was it hurting? Was it just hurting them? Not too upset. Hurting others? Let's look at this some more.
Exactly. I wish Kwame Kilpatrick had you on his team, man. And the second game that we got on deck, and I know this is your favorite one, I like to call this I'd Quit the Game.
Every second, every minute, man, I swear that she can get it.
All right, Miss Rose Streete. So you already know how this game goes. You are the bachelorette. You're living single life, but it's time for you to settle down. So on that note, if you had to quit the game, say rest in peace to that black book forever, and settle down with one of these 2 gentlemen, who would it be? Would you quit the game for Sean P. Diddy Combs? Or would you quit the game for Mr. Ladies Love Cool James, LL Cool J?
Oh, my goodness. There's no question. I'm an old school girl. An old school girl. LL Cool J all the way.
All the way, eh? All the way.
His songs, we bop to those songs, right? What is it? phenomenal.
Something like a phenomenon.
P. Diddy, I respect him.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not my taster's choice.
Fair enough. Yeah, to each his own.
Of course.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will begin to our next commercial break of the day. We still got more of Rose Streete. She's going to be joining us for Trip Talk, which will be 3 topics in 3 minutes. But before we get to that, we got to get to this one single in particular that will be part of the Trip Talk segment. This one is a new one from my man Kendrick Lamar, and this one is the new single off of his forthcoming album, which is not yet titled, but the name of the single is called I. There have been a lot of mixed reactions about this single, and I want you guys to let me know, what do you feel about the song? Hit me up at any time at DM_cool and also at cool_radio, and we will be discussing that after the break, so keep it locked. We'll be right back after these messages. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. You're now tuned to CFRE 91.9 FM. This is DM Cool, and you're now tuned into Cool Radio. Welcome back to the show, people. I still got my main girl, Rose Streete, in the building.
Hey, DM Cool.
You already know, yes, youth counts. And that was the sound of Kendrick Lamar, I, his new single off of his forthcoming album, which is not yet titled. But, before we went on to the commercial break, a lot of people were saying on the blogs that they had mixed feelings about the new single, and so that leads us into Trip Talk. I want to know what you guys think about the new single. This is about my 3rd time listening to it, and I think a lot of people were expecting a more aggressive side of Kendrick Lamar, like something like a Swimming Pools or Rigor Mortis, but he kind of gave us somewhat of a lighthearted single, but it still had a little bit of radicalness in it. The sample that he used that song is very familiar. It sounds very familiar. I can't put my thumb on it, but it's it reeks of old school nonetheless. But Rose, I wanted to ask you, just in general, when an artist, who's kind of like heavily praised, or a lot of people are waiting on him or her, they come out with a single that's somewhat left field, so to speak, of their nature. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know what? Once you get in the public's eye, this is it. They're watching everything you do, and not everything's a hit. So, and people want to try things out, but because you're in the public eye, there's no privacy. If you want to, you're going to try out the single. He makes a single, and he's going to say, "Well, you know what? I've always wanted to do this."
Yeah.
Well, before you make it, you don't do what you've always wanted to do. You do what's going to sell. So now that he's made it, relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
He's doing that. Well, I always wanted to try this.
Exactly.
And to see if it was, even not LL Cool J. You see, you got me off.
Yeah, I know, right?
Even Eminem.
Yeah.
Right? When he came out with that other single, that other album, it was like,
Yeah, it was a little, off to the other side kind of thing.
And then he came back, So it's about that. And it also helps to gauge the pulse of people listening and seeing what they like that he does.
Exactly. And it also shows growth, maturity, versatility. And something like this, like what he's doing, it doesn't sound too left field of what he's been doing anyway. I mean, I think people's biggest complaint of that song in particular was his the intonation of his voice. Like, it kind of changed up the vocal tone of it. But that's no different from what he's been doing anyway. So I think people are just getting a little antsy for no reason, in my opinion.
Fans are disloyal.
Yeah, exactly. These fans aren't loyal. Exactly. On to the next topic now. Dr. Dre, he topped the Forbes list in the hip-hop category this year, and he raked in an impressive $620 million. And also following closely behind him was Sean P. Diddy Combs with a whopping $60 million. Are you sure about your decision? Are you sure about this?
I thought it all over. Yeah.
All right. And so it's a very impressive list nonetheless. So what does that tell you about, hip hop, the culture, as far as its visibility and marketability is concerned?
Everything needs to be marketed well. It lets you know that there's no limits to the amount of wealth you can accumulate if you have a good plan. Like Dr. Dre, he did it. I remember from the Chronic. I remember where he was coming from. But you do have to tweak things because as much as you want it this way, you've got to take that feedback from those around you.
Oh, yeah.
You're supposed to have your best interest.
100%.
I'm proud because it lets you know, again, it's another reinforcement that everything is possible.
Absolutely. I mean, for him to make that kind of money, or just for him just to be visible to the public eye, even though he's kind of more of a behind the scenes guy, his relevance in general is what I'm trying to get to. Like the fact that he has this much relevance in the game still to this day, even though he's not really out there in the public eye, it's a testament to like what type of professional he is in general.
You know what it is? He ascended. He ascended. You got to be able to, as a leader. Sometimes you lead from the back. That's a great leader. When I look on the laptops and I see Beats by Dre symbol on this, I said, "Whoa!" I see people passing me. There's a B on the ear.
Oh, yeah.
People are making knockoffs of his stuff.
Yep.
And I remember the days when they were wearing other people's knockoffs just to look hip.
Right.
Right? So that's how you turn that table. And you don't know where you're going to be on that pendulum swing.
Yeah.
You're hoping the upswing.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
on the upswing.
And hey, selling Beats to Apple, that helps too. Absolutely. And final topic for Trip Talk, and we were discussing this during the commercial break actually. Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose have finally decided to call it Splitsville. Now, there's a whole lot of backstory to this. Basically, each camp is saying that one cheated on the other and vice versa. And also, people are alleging that Nick Cannon may have had something to do with it. Basically, what happened is he signed Amber Rose to his incredible management imprint, and that's going to include a whole lot of endorsements, maybe a reality show somewhere on the way, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people are thinking that Amber is now divorcing Wiz Khalifa because of her big cash payoff, and maybe she's been finagling with Nick in the sheets, as he has recently divorced his wife, Mariah Carey. So there's a whole big giant Charlotte's web that's being woven right now. So what's your take on this, Rose?
Well, number one, the ego may consume. You got to be very careful. And power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts.
Absolutely.
So when you see what's going on with the players, oftentimes you get something, and it's a concession. You lose something in order to get something else. If there's a romantic issue involved, it usually clouds people's minds.
Oh, yeah.
To that decision-making process. When there's children involved, sometimes people stay in relationships longer than they should.
Yep.
Right? I've been in a relationship, I thought this was over half the years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then the last thing, people outgrow each other. No two people fall in love at the same time, and no two people fall out of love at the same time. That's the issue right there. So, for the love of money, no people fall in love with money at the same time, and no people fall out of love with each other at the same time. We'll see.
Exactly. And they're only married for a year or two, so that's
14 months, I think it was.
Yeah, exactly.
14 months.
There you go. That's man. I don't know if I were a celebrity, I don't know if I could get married to another celebrity. Man. I just don't think it would work. Like,
well, you know what? We're all human at heart, right? And,
yeah.
And even you got to take the global to the local, because even the average Joe has a hard time staying married and find that right person. I mean, I know I've been engaged, I've been in common law relationships, but I've never really taken that matrimonial.
Exactly.
Line,
that final step into the final frontier.
I feel like I'm a serial engager or something.
Yeah.
So.
It is what it is at the end of the day. So either way, both of them will be on their feet. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get to the Throwback Thursday track of the day. So I think it's about time to get old school with it. Yeah. Okay. Old school with it, old school with it, old school with it, old school with it, yeah. Now, this track has been banging in my head for like the last couple of days, so I figured, you know what? Why not play it on Cool Radio tonight? Because I feel as if this is one of my favorite party anthems, and the video just goes with it. I wish I had this kind of house party growing up, in my teen years. And hell, even right now, if I'm going to a house party and the house party turned out to be the one that's in the video for this song, I'm so down for it. Ladies and gentlemen, off of her 1997 album, The Velvet Rope, this is Janet Jackson, and the name of this single is We Go Deep. And I'm sure Jermaine Dupri went deep with her many times, and I'm still hating on him for that. But hey, that's none of my business. Kermit the Frog face. On that note, we'll be right back after these messages with the Wankster of the Week coming up after it. Stay tuned, y'all. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned to CFRE Radio 91.9 FM. It's your man, DM Cool. And you're now tuned into Cool Radio. And I think it's about that time of the show that we get into. First and foremost, let me reintroduce Miss Rose Streete in the building. She's been here chilling with us, talking about the Yes You Count campaign.
Hello, UTM. What's up? What's up?
Absolutely. Now, with that being said, it's time for the award-winning segment that I like to call Wankster of the Week. So let's drop that real quick.
Say you a wankster, and you need to stop fronting.
Now, this week's Wankster of the Week is not only a relatively newcomer to the hallowed halls of the Wanksterism, but he is also a relatively newcomer to the hip-hop game. Wankster of the Week goes to none other than Southern rapper Young Thug. Now, he is getting the Wankster of the Week because last week, Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, they were doing the taping of the BET Hip Hop Awards. And basically, there was a whole bunch of press around and what have you. And he was being interviewed by Bossip, gossip site, and also publication as well, too, about a plethora of things. Now, one of the things that he was interviewed about was the Mike Brown situation that happened in Ferguson, as we all know. And basically, this is the case of the unarmed teen who was shot 6 times to his death, unfortunately, which caused the ire of many people in the African-American community. Now, he was asked about the situation and what he thought, people should do about the situation. So I'm going to read you an excerpt of that interview right now, just so I don't get things twisted, so you guys can formulate your own opinion, and also as to why he deserves that Wankster this week. So this is what Bossip said, and I quote, "Do you think the media blows things out of proportion on social media? Young Thug, no, I don't think so." And now to Bossip, they're doing a special on Mike Brown and the Ferguson situation. What do you think needs to be changed in the way black men are policed in America? Ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, this is what he said, and I quote, "Leave that up with the critics and the laws and all that other shit. We having fun, we iced out, we having money, that's how we do it." Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot make this up. I cannot make this up at all. This is why I keep telling people there's a difference between black people and N-words or microphones, okay? I can't stress this enough. I don't know much about Young Thug. I don't think I've ever heard a song from him. But for him to make these comments, man, it just shows how much ignorance there is within the hip-hop culture. I love hip-hop to the death of me, but sometimes when I hear stuff like that, it's also somewhat of a conundrum within me to defend it almost, especially if he is supposed to be one of the leading faces. Now, I'm not saying he is, but he's definitely one of the more popular guys on the come up. And for him to make a statement like that with his status is pretty sad. Now, if he had said, I'm not really one for politics or I don't want to discuss it, fine, because at the end of the day, with a statement like that, it kind of shows you're on neutral ground or you're not really that educated about the matter. And to, sum it up generally with that type of statement, cool. But this one, man, we out here iced out. We got the crystal popping, naked women swimming in the swimming pool. Like, come on. Like, I don't know what's worse, this or Floyd Mayweather not even be able to read a teleprompter that lasts for 30 seconds. I'm sorry. I just can't. I can't do it with Southern rappers sometimes. There's only a few on my list that I actually adore and respect. Big Crit is one of them. Shouts to Big Crit. But this guy, and he looks like a Haitian voodoo doll as well, too. This man has more piercings in him than a heavy metal rock band from the 70s, man. This dude looks like he was tripping on acid. He injected more stuff in him than a clinic. I don't know. He looks all sorts of mess. He looks like a fried up version of those little worm aliens from Men in Black. The ones that are drinking the coffee and everything? That's what he looks like. And then he looks as if he has a little bit of Shabba Ranks mixed with Vibes Cartel in him as well, too. Anyways, that and above other reasons as well, too, is why he's getting the Wankster of the Week. Does he deserve that Wankster? Of course he does. So on that note, let's drop that one more time.
Said you a Wankster and you need to stop fronting.
Rose. Yes, youth count, but no, he doesn't. What is your take on this?
You know what? That's when... This is an example on the very basic level about people living in silos.
Yes.
Because if something happened to him, when, say his ice got lost.
Or stolen or jacked.
Or stolen or missing in action. Mm-hmm. And there was the swimming pool dried up. There was no more cool and drinking Cristal. Mm-hmm. Because that happens because he's called himself Young Thug. Mm-hmm. Number one, you're actually labeling yourself what society feels is one of the negative elements of society. Mm-hmm. So if something happens to our Young Thug, like maybe age,
right?
And he doesn't have access to what he thinks is the ish,
mm-hmm.
he's going to want support.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Those services are going to be needed. So he's living in the silo while it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when that silo breaks open? All of us need to contribute to society. Mm-hmm. And we can't force people to be concerned. Mm-hmm. but don't try to break things down worse. But, like you saying that, people are going to take that soundbite, i.e. DM cool.
Hey, I had to. I'm sorry. I just got to let the people know. Cool. Got to let the people know. You know?
Right? And that's the thing about media. Be careful of your words.
Yes.
Right? Because your words are your character, right? Your character is your actions and your habits.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who you are. Young Thug, I'm not impressed. Not impressed at all.
I should have expected this knowing that his name was Young Thug. So I'm not too surprised, but nonetheless, I'm just like, man, you can do better. Come on now. Yeah. Anyways, let's get into more pleasant stuff before we go off the air. Your campaign is running strong. We know this. This Saturday, actually, you are having a community barbecue.
It's a Ward 8 barbecue called Yes You Count. And the reason is that Ward 8 has a lot of ground. And I decided not to have a campaign office because I'm about fiscal responsibility. So instead of me having an office and saying, come see me in my office, no, I'm going to give something to the people because the people need representing. The people need to know that they matter. Let's have a barbecue in an open space, free access. Everybody come, have a good time, get to know me. Because on October 27th, I want you to give your vote to the street, Rose Streete, from Mississauga City Councilor.
Absolutely, absolutely. And where can they get more information about your campaign?
My website,
www.votestreete.com. That's VOTESTREETE.com. Follow me on Twitter at Vote Streete. Hit me up on Instagram. Look for me on Facebook, Vote Streete. As well, you can give me a call. 647-979-ROSE. That's 647-979-7673. But it's going to be at 3355 The College Way, right here in Ward 8. Remember, yes, you count, and you can count on me to bring some good food and some good fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Rose, thank you once again for coming through on the show. You're welcome anytime. You already know, just hit me up and we'll make it happen. And also, you guys already know what the deal is, man. Hit me up on Twitter at DM_cool. Hit up the show at cool_radio for any thoughts, suggestions. And if you just want to have an overall conversation with yours truly, why not? I'm always open. But on that note, we got to go. Once again, it's your man, DM Cool. And we out of here. And remember, vote for Street and yes, youth count. Peace.